Chamber of Commerce and Industry for this session today of India GRULAC Business Summit and Trade Expo. I invite all our dignitaries to please be on dais. We have with us His Excellency Dr. Roger Gopal, the High Commissioner of Trinidad and Tobago to India. We also have His Excellency Mr. David A. Puig, the Ambassador Embassy of Dominican Republic. We also welcome Ms. Ria A. Sital, the Charge d'Affaires Embassy of Suriname, and His Excellency Mr. Alberto Antonio, Ambassador Embassy of Uruguay. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. And we also have our Chair for the International Affairs Committee of Americas, Mr. Jagmohan Mongia. Thank you very much, sir, for being here today. So, as a tradition, as we start our event, so I would request if we can all raise for the national anthem, please.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you. As we have this webinar on a hybrid mode, so I am happy to inform you that we have 120 plus people already watching virtually on this, and we have been trying our level best to make things happen physically. That is why we are really thankful to all the excellencies who have spared their time and come here physically, because your physical presence here encourages all and people also to come and attend the events physically, so that we can again come back to the normalcy. So we once again thank you all for being here and sparing your time. Thank you very much, sir. And we are also thankful to the Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, with whose support we are doing this activity today. And we also thank our collaborator, Tea Coffee Association of India, who are supporting this event. Just to give you a little background, that we have been doing a lot of activities with the GRULAC and LAC division. In March also, one of the days we celebrated as America's Day, where excellencies were present and presentations were made. And as a follow-up of that, we have tried to do certain B2B meets. So this is in addition to that, we have thought that we will again have today and tomorrow. So I am happy to inform that we have 20 plus Indian manufacturers and sellers who are participating and showcasing their products in the virtual event which we are doing concurrently with this. So they will also be having meetings immediately after the inaugural session. Their meetings are planned for today and tomorrow. So they all will be doing those parallel meetings which will be going on. And after the event, we will be submitting the detailed report to you that what all activities happened and what all business has been transacted in that. Now to take this further, and before we officially start this, I would request Mr. Jagmohan Mongia ji to welcome our guests who are there with a plant which we always give. So I request Shri Jagmohan Mongia to present the plant to His Excellency Dr. Roger Gopal. Thank you. And we also request Mr. Mongia to present to His Excellency Mr. David Puig, Ambassador Embassy of and also to His Excellency Mr. Alberto, the Ambassador Embassy of Uruguay. And Ms. Ria A. Sital, the Charge d'Affaires Embassy of Suriname. Thank you very much, sir. Now I invite Mr. Jagmohan Mongia, the Chair International Affairs Committee for America's PhD Chamber, to give his introductory remarks, please.
Morning, everybody. Present there is in this august gathering, and my fellow colleagues and the guest members, which are to the virtual mode. Mr. Sanjay Agarwal, President, PhD-CCI, industry members, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of PhD Chambers and industry, give me an immense pleasure to extend a very warm, cordial welcome to our distinguished guest present today. It's an honor to have your presence at the Indian Growlak Business Summit and Trade Expo themed as Strengthening the Strategic Partnership. I would like to take this opportunity to briefly mention that PhD Chambers of Commerce and Industry, we have been working for the promotion of Indian industry, trade and entrepreneurship as a catalyst for the past 116 years, and it's a forward-looking, proactive, and dynamic pan-India apex organization. As a partner in progress with industry and government, PhD CCI works at the grassroots level for propelling business, harmony, and integrated development of the Indian economy. PhD CCI, as a facilitator of business and industry, has put significant effort to expand India's investment ecosystem to new highs and taken proactive measures to foster and strengthen India's international linkage. The Chamber, as a facilitator of business and industry, has put significant effort to expand India's investment ecosystem to new high and taken proactive measures to foster and strengthen international linkage. To act as a focal point for Chamber outward reach globally by devising strategies, plan, and activity, International Affairs and Trade Fair Division, PhDCC has organized more than 50 virtual interactive sessions and B2B meetings during 2021, and especially during the lockdown. These sessions have been very well received by the Indian industry, as they have been very insightful in providing the much needed information in identifying opportunity of bilateral economic cooperation between India and countries around the globe, especially during the pandemic period. Friends, with India rising current global export and the investment capabilities, there is an urgent need to identify new market globally to widen the scope of investment and trade between India and country around the world. PhD Chambers of Commerce and Industry has always been aimed to an important stakeholder in the development of these nations. Friends, as you all must be aware, PhDCC has successfully implemented hybrid edition of PhD CCI International week from 15 to 19 March 2020, where each one of the weekday focused on Indian economy and trade relationship with one region and deliberate upon the business opportunity faced by the industry and the stakeholder. While business are in the region, the week-long event witnessed the participation from more than 40 heads of missionary and over 1,000 Indian leaders' participation. To take the momentum forward and promoting ease of doing business from the SME sector, PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry is organizing the hybrid exhibition of Indian Growlak Business Summit from 21st to 22nd September 2020 to encourage foreign investment and attract investment in both the region for building global competitiveness. The 2 days of intense deliberation will focus on global trade and investment opportunity for Indian industry in South America, Caribbean island, and the Central America to encourage foreign investment and attract investors in both the region for building global competitiveness. The conference will focus on specific sectors, namely pharmaceutical and healthcare, emerging technology, packaging, housewares, beauty, travel, hospitality and tourism, printing, gifts, and wellness. The conference will make Indian business, especially the Indian SME, sector aware of the information of the growth prospect, how their product can find a market, and how to mobilize investment in Latin America and Caribbean region. The summit would provide Indian businessmen a platform to discuss the issue of concern. Some of the major issues identified were visa problems, language barrier, logistic and air connectivity. The platform will also shed light on the investment schemes, incentives offered by the Government of India, financial institution, and describe how both the region going to be benefited for these incentives. Friends, as we have the honor of having eminent dignitaries to speak on that various opportunity of bilateral trade and investment between both the nations, I am sure it will answer the question that would be sitting in minds all the time. Before I conclude, I would like to once again thank each one of you for your kind and gracious presence, and I am also sure that we will have a very stimulating session today. With these words, I would like to welcome to you the Business Summit and Trade Expo. Thanking you once again for joining, and I hope you will have a fruitful day ahead. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, sir, for setting the agenda for today's webinar. Before we proceed further, as this is a hybrid event, I would like to take this opportunity to show you the platform on which we are running this. So this is the main lobby once people register in that. So we have yesterday we covered the destination CIS. We had the honor of having 7 ambassadors who came physically here. It was a good session, half-day session, and then followed by B2B meets. So today and tomorrow we will be covering RULAC. So as you can just enter in the auditorium, so this is what people are looking live to us. So I think 160 plus people have already watching this. So similarly, we have also put the virtual booths, as I mentioned. So these are the virtual booths which are there. If you can show one of this, please. Like this is the virtual booth of UFlex which is there. So you can give your visiting card in that. You can give your videos. You can give your product catalogs also. One-to-one meetings can also be organized. Chat can also happen. So this is a way of getting into the normalcy, so that if you can't travel, at least virtually you can meet each other, interact each other, know your requirements, sell your products, promote your products. So that is how you can do that. Besides this, we also have created some unique meeting rooms, which exclusive meetings if you want to do. So these are the meeting rooms where the meetings have been pre-scheduled. So with the timings, one can enter into these meetings, and video meetings can happen, so that it is almost like a physical meeting which you are doing, which are exclusively private meetings, the way it happens in the exhibition. So we have tried to give you that ambience so that people can do business in this. So we are just trying to give you an opportunity so that you can meet people and interact with them during this pandemic time as well. Thank you, the technical team, for this. So now to proceed further, as we have got certain video messages from our dignitaries who are based in, Indian dignitaries who are based in Latin America. So we would like to start with the message from His Excellency Mr. Dinesh Bhatia, the Ambassador, Embassy of India in Argentina, Uruguay and Paraguay.
Namaskar. I'm Dinesh Bhatia, Ambassador of India to Argentina, Uruguay and Paraguay, and it's my pleasure and privilege to address you all in this India RULAC Business Summit being organized by ESG Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Well, with the ESG Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I've had very intense interaction, particularly since the pandemic began. And this is the third time I'm speaking in the program. The first was in August 2020. Then I spoke again during the India-America Day on 17th of March this year. And today I'm again talking to all of you through the platform of PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It's always a pleasure to address our own business community, because you are the prime movers, you are the force behind Prime Minister's clarion call for enhancing our exports to the level of $400 billion. And as a message, we are there to support, we are there to facilitate, we are there to guide, but the job of actual exportation has to be done by the businessmen, and for that, of course, we are happy to facilitate. In the case of LAC, as you all know, there are several countries. It's not a uniform region. Each country has sort of their own policies for import and export. Within the region, we also have this small grouping called Mercosur. When I say small, they're just 4 countries, but in terms of area, because Brazil and Argentina, 2 large countries part of Mercosur, they have similarities in their policies, and we of course have a preferential trade arrangement with Mercosur, wherein about 450 lines from both sides are there for preferential trade, and of course Government of India has been very keen to start negotiation of expansion of this PT or take it to another level, perhaps depending on how the wishes of these countries go. We have in fact started our negotiations just the last week when the Joint Secretary from the Commerce Ministry had a video conference with Mercosur countries. Coming specifically to Argentina, Uruguay and Paraguay, we are seeing growth in trade, import as well as export in the last few years. And in the last year, India-Argentina trade particularly has reached a level of $3.3 billion. And with Uruguay and Paraguay also, we are seeing expansion of trade. In the case of Paraguay, it was about $176 million in 2020-21. And in the case of Uruguay, it was $268 million US. These 3 countries are basically exporters of primary products. And of course, Argentina now supplies a huge amount of aceite de soja, as they call it here, the soybean oil and the mustard oil and the sunflower oil. These 2 kinds of oils. Besides that, we have just opened the market for their de-oiled soya cake, which is going to be used for animal feed. So Argentina is a great source for us for these primary products. And similarly, Uruguay and Paraguay also offer a lot of opportunities. And in fact, if you analyze the data, you will find that timber has just begun to be the largest item of exports from Uruguay to India. And of course, there is certainly a demand in all these products. From our side, we have been trying to boost our exports to all the 3 countries, and results are showing. Just to give you a brief background about the 3 countries, we are actually the farthest countries from India in the world. Argentina and Paraguay and of course Uruguay, they have the distance of about 15 to 16,000 kilometers from India, and these 3 countries are absolutely beautiful, of course, to look at, but they are peaceful countries, democratic countries, and a natural partner for India when we talk about democracy. The respect and goodwill for India is perhaps unmatchable in these countries. I would particularly talk about Argentina because it's the largest among 3 countries. And when I travel within Argentina, I find in every nook and corner you will find a yoga school. I generally casually tell them, look, half the people in Argentina do yoga and the rest of the people are planning to start the yoga. And so it's a great affinity towards India. These kind of people-to-people relations, whether it's yoga or Ayurveda or philosophy and spirituality of India, and also dance and music of India, they have a role to play because they bring people of those countries closer to India. We are, of course, besides the agriculture sector, which I just mentioned, that all the 3 countries are natural source for our needs for the edible oils. Besides that, India also has received market access in Argentina for several agricultural items. We've just managed to get in the course of this year access for Indian mangoes and Indian basmati rice. And of course, Indian food is something which is very popular here, but there are no sources for Indian food. That is one area: Indian food, packed food, spices, ready to cook meals. These are the items where I find there's a huge scope in all the 3 countries. When we go over the list, we also find that healthcare sector, pharmaceuticals is very important. all the three countries import a large quantity of pharmaceuticals from rest of the world. But from India, I think we need to push it a bit more. Perhaps we tried a few years back, and this is what I was told by the Pharmaceutical Association organization in India. But I think we have to continue to push it. And on the part of the embassy and government of India, we are trying to get more market access for Indian pharmaceuticals, particularly in Argentina, because it has a population of 45 million. The other two countries are much smaller in population. For instance, Uruguay is just about 3.5 million people, and Paraguay is just about 8 million people. We have good presence in Argentina. There are about 15 or 16 Indian corporates which are present in Argentina, from software and information technology to a credit rating agency called CRISIL. And then, of course, all the four major motorcycle brands are available and being manufactured in Argentina, be it Hero, Bajaj, Royal Enfield and TVS. The market is growing not only in Argentina but also in Paraguay for Indian motorcycles. Indian motor parts do have a huge potential in all the three countries. Plastics, petrochemicals, toys, handicrafts, these are the traditional products that we have been exporting to the entire world, and I think all these things need to be focused at when it comes to boosting our trade with all the three countries, Argentina, Uruguay and Paraguay. I would suggest that through PSD Chamber of Commerce platform today, that all the business people who wish to explore these markets can write to us directly. We have a website, embassy website has all the direct email addresses of our commercial team, myself. You write to us so that we can connect you with the right people, because that is the key. You talk to the right person, and of course the world has changed in the last 1.5 years. You don't need to be physically present in a country to do actual business. Everything is being done through video calls and digital mechanisms. I would say that write to us. We'll be happy to connect you with the correct either buyer or seller, whatever it may be, and take the trade between India and all the three countries to a next level. With these words, I wish India GRULAC Business Summit all the very best to all the participants, and I want to thank all my co-panelists and the leadership of PSD Chamber of Commerce and Industry for giving this opportunity to speak to the business community in India. Thank you so much. Namaskar. Dhanyavad.
Thank Ambassador Bhatia for his kind words. And as he has been mentioning that we should do a lot of activities, maybe virtual or physical. So we would like to discuss about the trade delegations to these three countries and also to His Excellency Mr. Alberto, so that we can plan some delegation from PSD Chamber to these countries, and we'll take your advice on that part, sir. Thank you very much. Now to proceed further, as I mentioned that we are doing this event with the support of Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce, Government of India. So we have a special message from Mr. S. Suresh Kumar, who is the Joint Secretary looking after this division from Department of Commerce.
Good morning, everyone. It's indeed a pleasure for me to address this meeting of India GRULAC Summit, which is organized in a virtual mode on 21st and 22nd of September 2021. As you are all aware, India and Latin American region have a very long-standing historical, cultural and economic relationship. Over the years, both the regions have strengthened their bilateral relationship through various modes of trade and investment. This event, organized by PSD Chamber of Commerce, would be yet another opportunity to further strengthen and deepen this relationship between the two fast-growing and promising region. With a combined population of over 2 billion, both these region accounts for a large share of global trade. Both the regions have emerged out of the recent COVID pandemic and expected to grow faster than many other regions of the world. In order to encourage investment and trade between these regions, there are several initiatives which Government of India has taken over the years. India and Latin American regions' long-standing relationship will be further strengthened in the coming years. There is huge scope for further strengthening, which are going to be highlighted during this two-day event. The trade between India and the Latin American region have reached a peak of almost about 30 billion US dollars, with India's export to the region accounting for about 12 to 13 billion and the remaining being import from this region. This year, Honorable Prime Minister of India has actually declared that local goes global, and India has to become the world market and the world supplier of several items which we have identified under our Atmanirbhar program. As part of this, we have set a target of 400 billion US dollars for this financial year, of which about 15.5 billion US dollars of export is targeted towards the Latin American region. I am very happy to share that in the last 5 months during this financial year, India's export to this region, especially to the countries like Brazil, Argentina, Chile and the Caribbean countries, have actually shown significant increase, and we are actually poised to surpass the target which is set for this region. I would request all the participants from both the sides who are attending this conference to look at the new world order and realize that India and Latin American region are going to play very significant role in the coming days to come. There are several complementarities. There are several areas where we can develop perfect synergy and work together in resolving some of the long-standing global problems. Heartening to note that India and the countries in this region cooperate at various international forums to resolve several global issues, including the global climate change, resolving the problems of clean fuel, hydrogen fuel, Solar Alliance, and Pacific Alliance is actually working on that. There are several such initiatives wherein the countries in this region and India work together closely and to find a common solution for the mankind. I wish all the best and grand success to this 2 days event, and look forward for getting valuable feedback from the deliberations which are going to happen during these 2 days. I again thank PhD Chamber of Commerce for organizing this event at an appropriate time and bringing together important representatives from both the regions. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank Mr. Suresh Kumar for all his support and guidance we have been getting him from the Commerce Ministry. We thank them. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Lucas de Butos Lima, the head of Trade Section Embassy of Brazil in India, who has joined us virtually. We thank him, and we'll definitely be looking forward to listening from him as well. Now we have one more video message from His Excellency Mr. M. Subba Raidu, the Ambassador of India to Peru and Bolivia.
Dear participants, members of Indian industry, ladies and gentlemen, Namaste. Warm greetings from the Embassy of India in Lima. At the outset, let me compliment the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry for organizing the Business Summit and Trade Expo with the support of Ministry of Commerce and Industry. I also wish to thank them for the opportunity to share my thoughts. South America represents a huge opportunity for Indian industry. While we traditionally enjoy long-standing friendly relations with all countries of the region, the economic and commercial engagement has been far below the true potential. Complementarities that we share with the economies of South America, the quality of products that we produce, high-tech solutions that we offer, and above all, the aspect of suitability and affordability that our products represent should help Indian industry to expand trade and business ties. Since Bolivia is among the set of countries in the first plenary session, let me focus more on opportunities in this South American country. Bolivia's economy grew consistently at 4% until 2019, when it dropped to 2.2% and further contracted by 8.8% last year. It is on recovery path now and is expected to reach the pre-pandemic levels in a couple of years. Bolivia's resources like lithium, minerals, natural gas, agricultural and forest commodities, and government's plans to develop infrastructure and industry makes Bolivia a promising business partner for us. Bolivia imports goods worth $10 billion globally. Last year, its value dropped to $7 billion. However, imports are expected to pick up gradually. Bilateral trade has generally been growing. It registered a 30% growth in the financial year 2020-21. According to Bolivian data, India's exports in the first 7 months of this year have gone up by 16.7%. In 2020, India became the fourth largest global trading partner, eighth largest source of imports, and the largest export destination for Bolivia. Though India is among top 10 suppliers in 10 chapters, our share remains rather small, except in pharmaceuticals and articles of iron and steel, where we have 12 and 10% respectively. This means there is scope to improve. Looking at market size and our current level of share in Bolivia's global imports, additional opportunities exist in machinery and mechanical appliances, various types of vehicles and components, medical devices, electrical machinery and equipment, plastics, consumer goods, organic chemicals, pesticides, tractors, farm equipment and irrigation appliances, food processing units, solar panels, etc. Indian companies provide software integration and solutions to telecom firms, banks, and retail chains in Bolivia. Several automobile companies of India have local dealerships there. Let me list out a few announcements that may be of interest to our industry. Bolivian government has announced tax benefits to promote import of electric vehicles as it targets 20% of electrical vehicles by 2030. An upstream plan involving $1.4 billion investment in hydrocarbon sector is another significant announcement. Bolivia wants to produce more clean energy, and a recent scheme targets setting up of renewable energy plants in the country. 1 year tax exemption has been announced to companies that plan to import industrial plants and heavy vehicles. Bolivian president announced his government's intention to establish a pharmaceutical industrial complex at Cochabamba to benefit 121 companies. Dear members of Indian industry, our links with regional groupings like Pacific Alliance and Mercosur would have to be leveraged by industry to secure greater access for Indian goods and services. A business strategy targeting the region will not only enhance the size of market for Indian products, but also help overcome practical challenges related to storage, distribution, delivery, and low volumes. It will also contribute to optimization of the cost of logistics and delivery time. Supply chain disruptions, efforts to reactivate economies and improve public health by the governments of these countries have created new demand for goods, services and technology which can be met by the Indian industry. Efforts are underway at government to government level to get barriers to trade and challenges to business addressed. We invite Indian industry to increase its focus on countries in South America. Our embassies in the region will be always ready to extend all possible support in our joint effort to realize the $400 billion export target. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Excellency. Now I would like to invite His Excellency Mr. Alberto Antonio Guani Amarilla, the Ambassador, Embassy of Uruguay, to share his views with us, please.
I it's the organizer. Pulp wood, which is something why started to buy important for us because we want to sell more to India than what we buy to India, which at this moment is unproportionate. We also have automobile parts, syrup for beverages, plastics, wood and wood products, wool, pharmaceutical products, which is also another interest frontier in which we can explore and at the same time try to do business with. Are among Latin America's highest GDP per capita country. It's been $1,838. 2017. And we are also a stable and reliable country, which macroeconomics indicators are giving us, in spite of what has been a slowdown like of the economy. But at the same time, we are trying to recover with our exports in this moment of trust in which partners that Uruguay has. One of the biggest one is China and Brazil, Argentina, so Germany, States, Mexico, and which have been also incorporating special part of services that I'll be talking later. Why is searching for an investment in promotion and protection? Uruguay has an attractive investment promotion system whereby foreign and local investors are treated under the same conditions. Prior authorization or registration is required to operate in capital or profits from foreign investments. The exchange market is free, with no restrictions for the purchase or sale of foreign currency and investments being made by any currency. Investment projects benefited with the tax exemptions established in the Uruguay regime, which in all time record of almost 2013. We have very good social economic indicators like demography and growth rates per 1,000 inhabitants, birth mortality rate, global fertility rate, life expectancy of birth, which is 76 percentage of the education in literate population is 1.6. Enrollment rate in primary education 95.3. Enrollment in secondary education 60. Public expenditure in education 4.6 of the gross. We are leader in Latin American rankings in what has to do with democracy index. In the Economist Intelligence Unit, Latin America placed us in the first place. Global Peace Index, we're also one. Low in corruption, Transparency International, and Technology Development Index number 1. Prosperity Index 1. First arrival per capita, of course, is old numbers, but it was first place after the tremendous slowdown. For us was very important. It reduced a lot of the incomes because why, besides of what we showed, that is our production in goods, we are very strong in services and tourism, our main income. So there are other good perspectives of the country, which is total social stability. The state offers free and universal access to a wide variety of college degrees. 85% of total is in those free public institutions. Uruguay is one of the countries with the lowest poverty, 12.4%, and homelessness, 0.5% levels in Latin. 2000 for two. First country to implement child program, the PAL, which involves child and teachers, state elementary. 75% of homes are fully connected. Wi-Fi in. The country also, I told you, is strong in services. we have been this, especially because there's a good service exports are exempt from VAT. There's a special promotion with contact centers. Contact center employs more than 100 staff. The company may obtain a 10-year corporate income. And company based in a tax-free zone are exempt from all national taxes. Foreign staff may opt not to contribute to the Uruguayan social system. This has made, of course, important success stories, and even there is an example in receiving as investment in Tata Consultancy Services. I have a very interesting expression of Gabriel Rosman, the Vice President for Tata Consultancy Services in Uruguay. But he says that the reason why we decided on Uruguay is that we found that the legal system in Uruguay protects the foreign investor. The transparency of the system is very important to us. The stability of the country was very important, and the attention of the government gives to investors from overseas was key for us to decide to come here. The country provides an ideal context for the development of the software industry. Uruguay advantages as outsourcing center were crucial in setting up the Tata Consultancy Services Center. We are very glad also to announce that we have a company from India that is willing to invest in India, and we are very happy about that. We think that establishment right now in Uruguay has a total of 800, which is not too much for such a great population, but we will be receiving more in the companies for move into. Thank you very much. Questions or
Thank you very much, Excellency, and we will definitely get in touch with you for the delegation which we are planning to go there, or maybe virtually, whatever way the situation is. Thank you very much. So now I would like to invite His Excellency Dr. Roger Gopal, the High Commissioner of Trinidad and Tobago, who has always been supportive to the activities of Chamber, and we're really grateful to him, sir. So we'd like to hear from you as well, sir.
Thank you very much, Program Director, and greetings from the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. I acknowledge our Excellencies on the dais and all members of PhD that are represented here today. In university, I first studied marketing, and I came across a quote by Philip Kotler, who we consider the godfather of modern-day marketing. He said, in this world today, we have to learn how to run faster in order to stay in the same place. It's like being on a treadmill. And as the treadmill moves, you have to learn how to run. The world is changing, and the world that we face today is definitely not the same world that we faced last year. And it will remain constant in terms of change. It's the only constant that we know. In so doing, the strategies of yesterday cannot be used today. Our structures of yesterday cannot be used today, and it will be most irrelevant come tomorrow. What does it mean for business? It means that the products that we once sold must be reconsidered. The way that we packaged, the way that we transported must now be revised. The markets that we once looked at, which were the traditional markets, must now also be revised. In so doing, a group of Latin American and Caribbean countries are open for business, opportunities that perhaps in the past were never fully explored, perhaps in the past were not fully considered, but these are the opportunities that stand ready today. And for us, from that part of the world, is also looking at this part of the world for these opportunities. I told my sons recently, the best game to play is a game where we all win. In so doing, the relationship between India and the Caribbean, including my own country, Trinidad and Tobago, and the wider Latin American countries, is a win-win situation. Let us now look at the opportunities where we can take the same products and sell to new markets, or take new products and sell to new markets. These are the opportunities that exist. So as we go forward, during our deliberations tomorrow, later on today, tomorrow, we will be able to delve further into what these opportunities are, what each country has to offer, what are the advantages, and why we should pay particular attention to the Caribbean and the Latin American countries. So once again, I thank PhD for this India GRULAC Business Summit and Trade Expo. I wish you all the best, and I look forward to the next few days. Dhanyavad.
Thank you very much, Excellency. And as he has to leave for an urgent meeting, so we are really grateful to you, sir, for sparing your time. Thank you very much. So we would also like to welcome Mr. George Anrango, the Charge d'Affaires Embassy of Ecuador. Thank you very much, sir, for being here today with us. I would request Mr. Jagmohan Mungia ji to also present a plant to him, please. Thank you very much, sir. Now I invite His Excellency Mr. David A. Pugh, the Ambassador Embassy of Dominican Republic, to share his views with us, please.
Morning, everyone. Representatives of the PhD, Mr. Jagmohan Mohan, colleagues, diplomats, ambassadors, charge d'affaires. It is a great pleasure to be here this morning at the opening of the India GRULAC Business Summit Trade Expo of the PhD Chamber of Commerce. I have a panel tomorrow dedicated to the Caribbean island, and I will be speaking in detail about the Dominican Republic. I arrived as ambassador of the Dominican Republic in February month this year, and despite the COVID situation, despite the lockdown that we had, I am really happy to see the work that the PhD Chamber of Commerce is doing. The past month of June, we already had an interaction with the business community. Caribbean states presenting their business opportunity to this community. Yeah. And now I'm happy to see that it's the whole Latin America that gets the opportunity to interact with the business community of India. I served in India from 2006 to 2010 when we opened a mission in the second term in India. What I can see in the first months and looking back at the 15 past year is the growth of the trade, the growth of the relations between. Just to mention the case very quickly of the Dominican Republic, we opened our embassy in 2006, and we are really happy now, 15 years later, to see that India opening their embassy in the Dominican Republic, and a great milestone in relations, and will definitely increase interactions between our two regions. So at the diplomatic level, we are getting closer. But also, if you see the trade data, the bilateral data between India and the Republic, the past 15 years, you will only constant increase trade in both directions. And before the pandemic, I think $800 million of bilateral trade, which is a great amount for a country like the Dominican Republic, and also taking into account from where we started 2020. So basically, we want to strengthen our relations with India. We want to see, of course, more Dominican products in India, but we also want to see more public. In that sense, I think this kind of engagements get to address the business of India, and we should get answer questions really, really essential to achieve. Once again, I thank the PhD Chamber of Commerce for this GRULAC Business Summit and Trade Expo, and wish all the best for the deliberations of the next. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Excellency, and we really look forward to have your presentation tomorrow, where the detailed discussions can happen. Now I would like to invite Ms. Ria Sethil, the Charge d'Affaires Embassy of Suriname, if she can spare some her thoughts with us. Thank His Excellency Mr. Alberto for your time today, sir. Thank you very much.
Morning. For organizing but also that issue that
Thank you very much, ma'am. Now I would like to invite Mr. George Anrango, the Charge d'Affaires Embassy of Ecuador, to share his views with us.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's for me a great pleasure in this important forum. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure for me to have this opportunity to speak in India GRULAC Business Summit to export. You know that India and Latin America have a long-standing friendship. We will be happier to strengthen our economic and commercial ties within as well. Today, Ecuador's economy is 8th largest in Latin America. Is the principal export the petroleum, important product for new countries. Petroleum. Ecuador at the moment export roses, seafoods, grains, very important. Attractive foreign investment, the referent export-oriented sector is one of the main objectives of my country. Share with you that for foreign investment, Ecuador offers privileged location, and production diversity, grand potential in agriculture, fishery, aquaculture, forestry, mining, tourism, and service. With advantage lies productive enable manpower, favorable legislation toward foreign investment, preferential commercial access to different markets. More important, official currency is dollar, is stable, no devaluation the currency. I am pleased to inform you that our government has undertaken a series of reforms with the sole objectives of attractive foreign investment in the several trade sectors, especially in pharma, aviation sector, for example. Aviation sector, the government of Ecuador has expanded taxes, capital outflows. Glad to communicate that trade flow between Ecuador and India vigorously. Recently, Ecuador and India have signed the protocol for completion to joint facility studies. With this, both countries can initiate trade negotiation for preferential trade agreement. Welcome Indian Basin's economic to trade and Ecuador. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. George. Now we have Mr. Lucas de Butos Lima, the head of trade section from the Embassy of Brazil in India, who has joined us virtually. I request you for sharing your views, please.
Hello?
Mr. Lucas, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, please.
Hi, good morning. I would like to thank the PhD Chamber for giving me the opportunity to speak at the event. I would also like to greet the ambassadors that are present, physically present, and also those officials that have sent videos. As several speakers have said today, there are many complementarities between the Latin American region and Brazil, and India, sorry, but much of the potential remains untapped. It may be cultural distance, unfamiliarity, but it is the job of governments, of us, to bridge the gap between business companies and individuals. When President Jair Bolsonaro visited New Delhi in early 2020, even before the pandemic, we signed an action plan to underpin the bilateral relation and create conditions to further trade and investment in different sectors, such as agriculture and biofuels. We have also signed agreements such as the Investment Cooperation and Facilitation Agreement and Agreement on Social Security. We hope that these agreements can bolster trade, remove barriers to trade. Trade between India and Brazil has increased in the past 10 years, but it remains concentrated in commodities, which makes the flow of trade between the two countries volatile and subject to the prices of the commodities that are exported. We had agreed during the presidential visit to expand trade between the two countries to 15 billion by 2022. That goal is not attainable anymore. The pandemic has made things very difficult. We are with a bilateral trade of upwards of 6 billion, still half of what we intend, of what governments intend. We see a lot of space for improving and diversifying the trade flows between the two countries. Their economies are still growing. We are both developing countries. As economies grow, new markets are created, and new consumers are added to the market with every year. That is especially the case in India, which will become which will have the greatest population in a couple of years. And Brazil, just as India, has very dynamic and competitive sectors, such as aerospace. And we have, since 2016, renewed our agenda for negotiating trade agreements. As the ambassador of India to Uruguay, Paraguay, and Argentina has mentioned, Brazil negotiates with Mercosur, the trade bloc of the South, the South Cone in South America. The trade bloc has been pursuing FTA since 2016 with Canada, Singapore, South Korea. We have concluded agreements with the AFTA countries and the long negotiated agreement with the EU. And We have high hopes for an FTA with India. We currently have a preferential trade agreement since 2009, which the Mercosur countries and India agreed that could be more ambitious. So we are in talks to expanding this agreement, so we can move towards an FTA, and we can remove the barriers to trade between the countries of the bloc and India. In terms of investment, we see an increasing number of Indian investors in Brazil. We hope the Brazilian investment in India can grow as well. We have several new businesses in new sectors in Brazil, such as the fintechs, which gives us the latest example of big investment in India. The Brazilian fintech Nubank investing in the Indian company Jupiter. And with the investment cooperation and facilitation agreement that we signed during the presidential visit, we hope that we can ease conditions for trade. The agreement, once it is ratified by Brazil, will create the ombudsman, the investment ombudsman, which will help businesses and companies from both countries with existing investments in the countries and potential investors to send inquiries and be able to solve any bureaucratic hurdle that they may be facing. And Brazil is already committed to making investment into the country easier. We have a foreign direct investment ombudsman, which works like the national focal point in the investment facilitation cooperation agreement. So with this diplomatic agreements, we hope investment can grow from the base that it is today in both directions. I wish to all of you a very successful event. We invite Indian businesses to go to Brazil to look for investment opportunities. We at the Embassy of Brazil are always available to talk to companies willing to do business with Brazil. We can help facilitate and help organize business missions to Brazil to increase awareness on specific industry ecosystems. I thank the PhD once again for inviting us, and I wish all of you a very successful event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lucas, for sharing your views with us. And now, as we are almost at the close of the inaugural session, I would like to take this opportunity to show you a small video of what we did during the International Week, which happened from 15th to 19th of March 2021. I'll request my colleague if we can have that video. was the Power Pact 1 full week which we did, and it will be an annual event. So again in March we will be coming with the second edition of that. We want to have the support from all the excellencies and all the participants. With this we come to the end of our inaugural session. After this will be the virtual B2B meets with the Indian manufacturers and the buyers or the trade visitors who have registered already on the portal. So we'll be going into that. So it is my proud privilege to propose the vote of thanks to all the participants as well as the dignitaries who have spared their time with us today and share their views also. And we look forward to hear from my excellencies tomorrow as well, because we have Caribbean islands tomorrow focused on the Caribbean islands. So we'll be having the pleasure of having them again, meet them and listen to them. So we once again thank you for all your support and look forward to your continuous support. And on behalf of PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I would also like to invite you for the 36th edition of the Ambassadors Meet, which we are doing on 24th of August at Hotel Hyatt Regency in New Delhi. So I hope you must have received the invites for this. So we look forward to have your physical presence there. So here it will be more of an informal get-together meeting, and we will also be having the pleasure of the officials from the Ministry of External Affairs, Commerce Ministry, as well as the Tourism Ministry, because tourism again is becoming very important. So we will have the Secretary of Tourism making a small presentation also and what all India is looking forward to. So we look forward to have your presence during this Ambassadors Meet as well. So once again, thank you very much to all the participants who have attended here physically, as well as people who are virtually joined from India and other parts of the world. And immediately after this, the B2B meetings will start. So I request you all, whoever has booked the slot for meetings, can go for those meetings in the virtual mode. Thank you very, very much. I would request for a photo session with all the dignitaries on the dais, and I request my team members to please come on stage. And I can see Pramod ji from the Tea Coffee Association also here. So please, you also join us on the stage for the photo session, please. So I request all, we have the lunch served just outside the auditorium. I request you all to please join us for lunch.